Some things that really stood out to me in this was the great comedic timing in the dialogue. And then you had some really strong comedic performances. You had definitely your set characters that we saw time and time again, but you would see characters sort of pop up, maybe just for one-off scene, but every character was so dynamic and so present and really strong in their comedic performances that you can tell that there was a lot of comedic backgrounds within the choice of actors for this. I really liked the stand-up element. I really liked how, the stand-up was strategically placed. It always moved the story forward, in a way. It created a nice, tail end and sort of bookend to the beginning and end of the film. There's something very endearing about every character. They're very likable, and the relationships between them are very clear. I felt the whole time that I wanted to root for the protagonist. I really wanted him to succeed. I really wanted him to find whatever it was that he was seeking out or that he felt he was missing. And I it was very easy to follow along with his journey because of his likability.
The performances were fabulous. Totally believable chemistry between the characters. I really loved the banter between Alex and Ben. So hilarious. Such love, fondness, and levity between them. Very playful. The travelogue feel to the piece was fun, with handy city names and coordinates shown. Great camera work, day and night. The upbeat, jazzy soundtrack kept the film light. The writing of the stand up was quite funny. You believed Alex had a real chance to do well.
So much of the cinematography in this, I loved what they did with the drone shots. They had this beautiful, crisp, clear cinematography on it. It was edited really well as well. It kept this beautiful pace. And I really liked the story. The story I felt was very relatable. The actors were all so organic and believable. I loved the relationship between the husband and wife. There was something that was so sweet and supportive, and his humor was great. The way that he was going through his jokes, it wasn't over the top. It was kind of, he landed things perfectly. Probably one of the things that made me laugh out loud the hardest was the driving Miss Daisy line. I thought that the delivery on that was absolutely brilliant.
This is a story about a comedian who ultimately decides to go all in on his passions. He's a film director of commercials. He's finding this need to take care of his family. And he's given this opportunity to really go after what he truly wants. I feel like his lifelong best friend, supporting actor, really carries his role. He was my favorite part about the whole movie, actually. I loved the way that he had his humor. I loved the way that he talked from a realism perspective, knowing that he doesn't come from a place of privilege and he has one shot essentially to open up his bar and he doesn't want to fuck it up. And that's kind of the same way of how his best friend is also feeling, like as if he's got this one shot. He doesn't want to fuck it up. And so they learn from each other and they grow from each other and ultimately realize that the most important part in all this is each other.
It's a really fun road trip styled movie, and it was very interesting exploring the question of following your dreams versus settling for what you have, what you've made. I feel like along the lines of adulthood, as you traverse through it, you're forced to make a lot of compromises to what you want to do in life, and sometimes you're forced to question, did you make the most out of it? Did you get to do what you wanted? And here we have the question of what happens if you're so hell-bent on pursuing your dream, getting that dream, that you choose to ignore and push away everything else in your life. I also enjoy the message of make it work. make it work in a way that makes you happy. It doesn't have to be exactly what you thought it'd be. Like, for example, our main character, he expected to get on this show and his whole comedy career would just blow up and he'd get a bunch of deals. But by the end of the film, he's basically where he started. But the difference is his outlook on things. Instead of pushing so hard to be the greatest, he has to find what he's content in doing. And I think that's a very important message.
How relatable is this film, especially to any of us who work in the film industry or arts and entertainment? Gig to gig. You could actually feel this guy's frustration through the screen, this actor, as he's going from gig to gig, saying, you got it, no you don't, going back and forth as he tries to play the game. You could see how worn down he is in the beginning. The fact that it takes towards the end for him to really get over this and start appreciating life a little more is a little bit of a slow burn, but it works. Everything in this film really works. You have the humor in the right spots, but it's still relatable as you feel for this guy's life. He really is between a rock and a hard place, but this film works through it really well. Every plot twist, every plot point, they capture perfectly.
He discovered that he was not the same person he has always been, and he's not going to get any better because his time is passing. So this black man is battling against his midlife crisis, and he doesn't know exactly where his life is going to go from now on. But during the journey, when he gets to that place in the late night talk show, he finally discovers another part of himself he didn't know, and he starts, and the movie ends with him starting a new life, the second part of life. The first half is gone, and now is the second half. It's going to be different, it's not going to be the same, but it's going to be exciting. So I really like the main message behind this film.